Did you know that being able to push, such as a bench press or a push-up, is an absolutely integral skill for cyclists and triathletes and runners, as it allows us to be able to learn how to produce force from the shoulder while keeping the torso, everything, and your core, again, your core is everything between your neck, your elbows, and your knees, nice and stable. Today's exercise needs one kettlebell, a yoga mat if you like, although you don't need it, and it is going to absolutely destroy any weaknesses that you have if you do it right. When it comes to being able to produce power and effort on the bike, as cyclists and triathletes and runners, we all tend to focus on the lower body or the core, and the core is just your midsection. Well, first of all, that's a myth, and it's been well disproven that the core doesn't just work together by itself, just the midsection. All the muscles between the neck, the elbows, and the knees have to work together. Now, if you've already subscribed to the Human Vortex Training channel, you already know all this, but you don't know today's exercise, and that is the one-arm kettlebell floor press. Now, the one-arm kettlebell floor press is a fantastic way, if you only have one kettlebell at home, to be able to learn how to produce proximal stiffness to get distal motion, or put more simply, keep everything along the spine nice and tight while getting movement from the shoulder or from the hips. Now, word to the wise, if you have a kettlebell at home, and let's say it's a 12 or a 16, and you can't really do more than 3 or 4 push-ups, you're going to need, with good technique, you're going to need a lighter kettlebell. We do want a kettlebell specifically for this exercise, as the way the weight is displaced on the outside of the wrist changes the dynamics in through the entirety of the body, especially in through the shoulder. Now, if you have a dumbbell, you can certainly try this, but know that the benefits from the exercise are not going to be the same. In fact, we have a video about dumbbell versus barbell bench press for cyclists and triathletes. You can check that out up here. Now again, subscribe to the channel if you are interested in learning how cyclists and triathletes should do this exercise, because we cue it very differently than the basketball players or the professional or amateur MMA fighters and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artists that we have. Now, 2 things about the kettlebell. Number one, it is a weapon of sorts. So you need to be very careful when you're moving this around, and it is important to learn how to pick it up properly. So a lot of people will just take it, put it on their lap, and then sit up from there, and that's not how we want to do that. We want to have the kettlebell right around belly button height. And the way we're going to get into position is we're essentially going to be into what's called a sideline hook position. So notice how my feet are here. So I'm going to come here. My elbows are going to be locked to my side. And what I want to do is I want to find where my forearm is resting on top of the kettlebell. And the kettlebell is at a little bit of an angle in through my hand. I don't know if you can see that on the camera there, but we want to be at a little bit of an angle, not straight across as you would with the dumbbell. Again, also an important detail. Now from here, I'm going to grab with both hands. So the bottom hand is going to close first, the top hand, and from here, keeping my elbows close to my side, I'm going to roll onto my back. Again, this is very important in this setup. Now from here, I'm just going to adjust on the floor to find the comfortable position. And for today's, we're going to keep the feet even. Okay, this is a basic progression here. So all I'm going to do is make sure I have good position. I'm going to brace my entire 360-degree midsection, so everything's bracing. So if you haven't learned the McGill crunch, check that out up here, because that's going to help you to be able to brace. So bracing, I'm going to bring the kettlebell up with both hands first, find the right shoulder position, and then I'm going to come down. Now my opposite hand is at a 45-degree angle. Now from here, in order to do this exercise properly, I need to keep my ribs down, keep a neutral spine. I'm not pushing my back into the floor. I'm keeping a neutral spine, and I need to come down at a 45-degree angle with the hand, keep my shoulder blade back and down, and then push up overhead. Now, as I do this, the first 1 or 2 repetitions isn't that difficult. However, as you get more, you're going to feel the lat, the oblique, the glute on the working side is all going to want to fire, and we want to make sure we're doing this with great technique, because we want 0 movement in through here. Now when you're done with your set, kettlebell comes to the chest, and then you're going to roll back in the same way. Okay? Now let's take a look at what the actual technique looks like. So pretend you're looking at me from over top. My feet are bent. My feet are going to be shoulder width or very slightly wider than shoulder width. We do not want to be super wide. The reason being is that you're not actually going to get the stability from the trunk that you want. You're just taking a wide base and cheating. So we want to be right around shoulder width or just a tiny bit wider. But I am pushing all of my feet into the ground. Now from there, the kettlebell is going to start here. I'm going to come down. My opposite hand is out at 45-degree angle, not resting. We're going to have it out because I can clench this fist when it gets difficult as hard as I can and fire that lat, and that's going to give me more stability. So coming down, 45 degrees, notice in through here. As soon as I touch the floor, bracing and then pushing up overhead. Bracing, pushing up overhead. You'll notice the kettlebell never comes to center line or up toward my ears. It is a straight forward in motion and back, keeping the elbow directly underneath the wrist. Now this is a fantastic exercise if you do it correctly, and that's what we're all about here at Human Vortex Training, is the technique, because how you do an exercise, how you execute it, where you're getting the movement from, where you're getting that stability from, is what's going to determine, are you going to see results as a cyclist or triathlete, or are you just going to get generally stronger and then say, well, strength training made me stronger, but I'm not seeing the results on the bike. So if you found today's video to be useful, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and head on over to the Human Vortex Training website. Sign up for our free weekly newsletter with all types of tips and tricks to help you get stronger as a cyclist and triathlete. Now, if you found today's video to be useful in helping you learn how to produce proximal stiffness for distal motion and getting stronger on the bike through a very simple but not easy upper body home exercise, make sure you're heading on over to the HVT Facebook group, which is free, HVT's Strength Training for Cyclists and Triathletes, to get my thoughts on kind of a roundup on what's going on the web. Now, until next time, remember, train smarter, not harder, because it is all about you.